Hello, 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 and welcome to today's training. This training is specifically for new agents who would be starting off purchasing B leads. And what I wanted to do for you here this afternoon is I'd like to take some time and walk you through real life scenarios, how to door knock, and how to schedule appointments over the telephone. For those of you who don't know me and are new to the group, my name is Brett Grossman. I'm a national agency manager here with Freedom Financial Solutions. I have a little close to 6 years of experience in the mortgage protection field. And today's training is specifically for you to kind of get your feet wet and get a better understanding as to how to prepare for success, what to do once you receive your leads, how to approach those leads over the telephone and in person, and how to transition out of B leads and then eventually get yourself acclimated over to our fresh lead process. So let's get started. Number one is, and this really shouldn't have to be said, but a lot of times people want to know, what do I need to look like when I walk into someone's home for an appointment? Or what should I wear if I'm out door knocking? And my advice would be, as a male, probably something similar to what I have on here today. Summertime, a polo shirt, some dress pants, dress shoes, nice watch. You want to dress for success. See, one of the things that you always want to keep in mind is when you're walking into someone's home for the first time to meet with a husband and wife couple or a single individual, is they're going to be measuring you up. And you don't want to give them any reasons why they would not buy. You want to actually give them every reason to drop their guard down and feel comfortable that you're in their home, especially if they've never met you before. Now, if it's off a door knock, first impressions are key, especially in our business and what we do. And so if you have a beard and you're a male, I highly recommend, if you want to make a lot of money, shave. And I know it sounds trivial, but that's not going to be my best advice. If you have a bunch of earrings and things of that nature, you may want to take them out. Now, for the ladies, you know fashion better than we do, and so I would just recommend you do what you think is right and what looks professional, but obviously you want to dress for success. And so that's number one. Number two is, when do you call? When do you call over the telephone your leads? My advice over the past 6 years, here's what I found. I found that any time is a good time to call. Now, there are some days and times that are a little bit better than others, but for the majority of us, we do this business part-time, either outside of a job or outside of another business. And so some of the best times to call are first thing 9 a.m. in the morning, maybe 12 p.m. in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the evening to 8 o'clock at night. And here's what I'll share with you. Some folks that you catch at 12 in the afternoon, they may say, hey, listen, give me a call in the morning. Some folks you call in the morning, they say, hey, give me a call in the evening. And for the folks that you call in the evening, they say, hey, listen, you called me at a bad time. Can you give me a call in the morning or the afternoon? And so that's why I say, now there are some specific time frames. Weekdays between 5 and 8 p.m. are phenomenal times to call. And Saturdays are a money day. Money day. And so Saturday mornings beginning at 9 a.m. and you can go all the way straight through to 2 p.m. if you're going to be dialing over the telephone. If you're going to be out door knocking, it's a phenomenal day to go out there and door knock and be able to get yourself in some homes and write some business and help some families. And so those are going to be my best advice for you in terms of from a part-time basis. For the folks who do the traditional 9 to 5 and are acclimating mortgage protection and financial services into their schedule, again, here's an example. If you're traditional 9 to 5, you can always schedule an appointment for 6 p.m., right? Gives yourself an hour to get to the appointment. And then you can schedule your next one at 8 p.m. So now you're doing 2 on one day. So let's say that day might be Tuesday. You could do the same thing on Thursday. Now let's say you're closing at a 50% close rate on each day. Well, now you just went ahead and you just had 2 policies go through, and each one averages $1,200. Not bad for about 4 hours worth of work on a Tuesday and 4 hours worth of work on a Thursday. But Saturday is going to be your day for the part-timers. Saturday is going to be the time that you want to pack out your schedule. And ideally, every 2 hours, you want to go ahead and you want to be able to have at least a minimum of 5 appointments on the books for Saturday, meaning you can run an appointment at 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. and 12 and 2 and 4 and 6. You see where I'm going with this? And there's going to be some folks who go, hey, listen, I'm an early riser. Great. How about I come and see you between 7 and 8, 7 o'clock. I've gone out to people's homes, met with husband and wives, 7 a.m. Going out and met with people, 8 p.m. And so I will go over that a little bit here. So those are just some tips for you for getting started in terms of how to structure out your schedule and how to approach this in the very beginning. And then obviously, if you have somebody who brought you into the business, you can reach out to them and they can kind of walk you through that. If you're working with me directly, I'm an open book and you can call and text and email me and we can go through some of that coaching. But here's what I'd like to do is I'm going to kind of use a little bit of both leads here this afternoon just to kind of give you an idea. Number one is I want to kind of show you real quick what a traditional fresh lead looks like and what a bead lead looks like and how I use the two together. Here's an example, okay? Here is, if you can see that, a fresh lead, okay? What it shows is the person's mortgage lender at the top, the reference loan, the date that they did the closing or refi, their information, some information about living benefits. It's very personal because it's made out, for example, to William. At the end, they talk about the Hack family. And then what we do is we take their actual mortgage amount and we cut it in half at 50%. That's actually one of your closing techniques in the 3-option closes. The second close in the middle is the 50%. Go 100%, 50%, and the mortgage protection payment. That's for a different video. And so down at the bottom here, we actually have some qualifying medical questions, height and weight. They put down their occupation. They write down all the different numbers. When's the best time to call and who's the best person to reach out to for this information. Folks, here's what I'll share with you. I've been around the block a little bit and I've seen a lot of companies. I know how they do their mail and I know how they compete with each other, meaning other independent marketing organizations out there, the majority of them are all competing with each other through the same mail houses using the same kind of mail. What we do here at Freedom Financial is we use first class mail where it actually gets stuffed in an envelope and you actually have to open it up. It's a little bit more personal when all the other IMOs are doing third class mail and they're all competing with each other, which means a lot of times they're getting shopped by other people and there's no real commitment from the customer. And so it really does make life a little bit more difficult when you're competing with 15 other companies that are all mailing to the same person. And a lot of times they are filler outers. So that's what a fresh lead looks like. Here is what a bead lead looks like. By definition of bead lead, what this is a lead that came from an outside source, an outside party. We never recirculate our leads, meaning we don't take one of those fresh leads and if somebody doesn't sell it in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, we turn back around and give it to you again. We don't do that. We're not in the lead business. What we do is we take leads from a third party. Maybe that was from a traditional captive agency, like a New York Life or a State Farm or Northwestern Mutual, where a lot of times they can only use their own product offerings. And if they walked into a home and the product wasn't the right fit, that lead just kind of goes to the wayside. We then can purchase that data and use it as long as they did a refi or a purchase within the past 9 to 12 months. Okay, that's one way that we go ahead and we get these leads. And B leads will always be 9 to 12 months old. How do you know that? Well, let's take a look here. Let me get to the first page here so it shows you, and you're going to see a lot of writing. I write all over my leads. You totally want to write all over your B leads. You definitely want to write all over your fresh leads when you're scheduling over the phone, when you're in the home. Write all over them. Here's why. When you go to speak to somebody and you're sitting down with somebody or you're at a door knock, for example, and they see all this writing about appointment times and 6 months and 12 months and $250,000 and here's Sandy the wife and 30-year and 1,500 mortgage and all these different things that you're writing on here, that paints the picture of a professional person who's very busy, who's been seeing a lot of people, as opposed to a blank sheet of paper that it's just starting over fresh. And you'll see what I mean. So over here to the left, you'll see a category in yellow that breaks it all down. And what it does is it has their first name, last name, their address, obviously, their mortgage amount, their birthday, their tobacco preference, If there's a spouse on there, the spouse's birthday, the spouse's tobacco preference, the closing date, the lender, and the date, and the date that they closed, right? So it has all the same information. It just doesn't have the medical stuff. Why? Because that's not our lead. That's why. See, our leads are specific because they're done in-house as opposed to using a third-party vendor. These leads are coming from a third party. They typically won't have the medical questions because nobody else does that. So just to kind of give you an idea, if you can see this, you'll see the writing. See what I mean? Elsa, 54, 1580, RN at hospice, does route sales husband, insurance work. They both have insurance through work. This is what I'm talking about. And then a lot of times on the back, what I do is I just literally, I'll flip it over, and that's where I do my 3 option closes. So nothing fancy here. You don't need to be fancy to make a lot of money. You don't need to, you just need to be professional. You need to know what you're talking about. You have to have the right posture, the right language, and you have to have control over the conversation, but you don't need to have anything fancy. Just look the part, okay? And so let's go, for example, I'm going to do and if you notice too, just one more thing, you'll notice, see the X's? These are people to get off your list. Why? Because you want to get people off your list, because the faster you can get people off your list, the closer you are to getting somebody who's open-minded to wanting to have you sit down with them and explain to them what mortgage protection is and why they need it in their home and in their lives for their family, okay? And so, new person, how many leads should I buy? B leads. I recommend a minimum of 50 to begin with, minimum of 50. So if you could do 60 or 70 or 80 for them, or even 100, do it. Because for the first 30, 60, 90 days, this is going to be your learning curve. And because we want you to start learning on the B, and there's gold. There is gold in these B leads. I promise you. I guarantee it. You buy 50 B leads, you're coming away with a minimum 5 apps. That's the minimum 5 applications at an average of $1,200 an application. But you have to attack the leads. And how do you do that? I'm going to show you. Okay, so let's go with Deborah Miller. And so I am first, and there is no, which way is better? Is door knocking better or is calling over the telephone better? Personal preference. Here's what I found. They both work. It's up to you as to which one you want to do. I'm going to first walk you through very quickly some objections that you'll get over the phone and how that sounds. And then I'm going to go through what it's like to do a door knock, how you get objections at the door, and how that sounds. So let's get started. So I would be dialing up, and when I dial, if they don't answer, you never leave voicemail. When I dial, they don't answer, I'll move on to the next one, then the next one, and then I'll go back to that other one. Then I'll call one more, then another one, and then I'll go back to that one again. And a lot of times I like to call the same person 2 to 3 times in a row, and you'll be amazed at how many people didn't pick up the first or second time, but they do pick up the third and fourth time. Why? Because they want to know who's calling them, okay? And so here's how the conversation goes. I'll ring her up, and she answers, Deborah Miller. She goes, hello. Hi, Deborah. My name is Brett Grossman, and I'm giving you a call here today on behalf of your loan that you did with Bank of America back in September of 2016, and that was for a mortgage amount of $115,450. That was for your address at 520 Elmwood Avenue in Trevose, PA. Deborah, is all that information correct? Pause. You want to be the first to be in control of this conversation by letting them know you're not a telemarketer and that you do have very important information to speak to them about. Now, most people, when you have this type of call to start with, and that first 15 seconds where you're going over all their information, here's what they're thinking. Who is this? How do they know all this? Is everything okay? What's going on? Here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to call and say, hi, I'm calling from the Mortgage Protection Group, and my name is, Bob Smith, because guess why? That's what everybody else does. See, we like to be different than what everybody else does. Once you start sounding like everybody else, they begin to start to blow you off. So let's be different here, right? And so Deborah, based on that information, is all that information true and correct? She goes, yes, it is. What's going on? What's the matter? Is everything okay? How can I help you? Whatever that might look like. Deborah, the purpose of my call is, if you recall back in September when you did your closing, let me ask you first, that was a first-time purchase or was that a refinance? That was a first-time purchase. Oh, congratulations. The purpose of the call was, do you recall filling out some information and doing an inquiry here to my office in regards to a mortgage protection plan for both you and your husband? That's if there's two names. If there's one name, for you. Yes, I do. Great, that was the reason for my call. I have a record here that this record was never closed, meaning nobody ever came out and saw you, nobody ever took care of this for you, and I'm going to be dispatched out to the Bucks County area here coming up on Saturday, and I wanted to take a little bit of time, review the information with you, and see if this is a program that you may be eligible for. That's the way I like to deliver the information. We do have a script where you can go to freedomfinancialsolutions.com or ffs.org, and you can go to the agent section and log in with your username and password, and you'll see in the drop-down menu under training, we have scripts. So this is just kind of like a rough overview, okay? And so I wanted to take some time and go over this information with you, see if it's a program that you may be eligible for. Here's the responses you're going to get. You're going to get, I already took care of it. Your response back is, that's interesting because I didn't show that the file was ever closed. What do you mean you took care of it? Well, I had somebody come out back last September and they went ahead and they gave me the insurance. Oh, okay, I understand. Now, just to be clear, because I've noticed in your area of Bucks County, the majority of people that I talk to are just like you. They were offered a form of insurance. So I want to be clear. Were you looking for insurance or were you looking for mortgage protection? And they're going to pause and they're going to go, they gave me the insurance. Well, again, like I mentioned, now they gave you a term policy, correct? Yes, they did. Oh, got it. Okay. And so you understand that term insurance only works if you pass away. Mortgage protection does that also, but mortgage protection is really meant to pay you if anything was to happen over the course of your 30-year loan, like a heart attack, stroke, cancer, something that wouldn't allow you to be able to make the mortgage payment, and now you can have money coming in. That doesn't sound like what you have, correct? And they go, you know what? I'm really not sure. This is your exit time. Listen, here's what I'd like to do for you. I can squeeze you in here. Let me ask you, is Saturday morning or early afternoon on Saturday better for you? Let me think. You know what? Saturday, I'm good. I got to take the kid there. I got to do this. How about this? I'm going to see about 5 or 6 people on Saturday. And before I leave the area, why don't I swing by? You have your policy out. I'll take a look at it. Here's what I can guarantee you. In the first 2 to 3 minutes, I'll let you know if you actually have mortgage protection or if you just have straight life insurance. And then we can kind of take it from there. Is that fair enough? Most people say yes. You will occasionally, right? Because it's an older lead. They just don't want to bother with it anymore. They might just go, no, I'm okay. I'm just going to leave it. Door knock that person, but leave it alone. You don't necessarily always want to continue to push the envelope. You can maybe try one more time to close them down. I understand Saturday is going to be a busy day. How about this? When I'm in my travels in Bucks County, I have a few appointments throughout the week next week. If I have something that's within 5 minutes of your house, I'll just kind of swing by, but I'll give you a call and give you the heads up. Is that fair enough? That's another way to do it, okay? So that's one response you're going to get. I already took care of it. Here's another response you're going to get. You're going to get the response of, I did have somebody come out. We actually had 1 or 2 people come out. We filled out a bunch of them, and we just realized that it just wasn't in our budget. Deborah, I totally understand, and I know how you feel. Doing this for many, many years, here's what I found. I found that a lot of times when you first move into the house, it's a little chaotic, and you have all these bills coming in, and you don't really have any structure. And so a lot of times, when you don't know which bill's going out the door, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to take on something when you really don't know what your, accounts payable and receivable is, right? So here's what I'd like to do for you. And if you notice, I keep saying that. Here's what I'd like to do for you. Here's what I'd like to do for you, Deborah. The way I like to operate is very simple. I'm going to sit down and devise a customized plan for you. you then get to let me know what your budget is and how much you're actually able to spend on a monthly basis. Meaning you get to choose what it is that you're going to spend on a monthly basis based on the plan. Okay? But it's not something that I can do for you over the telephone. I'm going to need at least a minimum of 10 minutes of your time to be able to actually sit down and show you how that might work. Is that fair enough? Again, a lot of times people go, yeah, I like that. That sounds a lot better. Why? Because the last person that was there just kind of gave them what their options were and didn't really work with them. Never really asked them what their budget was. Just showed them something that was for $200, $150, and $100, never realizing that their budget was really at $75, $100, and $125, and they got stage fright, got blown out of the water, and did nothing. Why? Because confused people do nothing, especially when they're scared about the money, okay? So, again, we want to be different here about how we approach our clients. So that's another way to do it. Here's the third person you're going to get. You're going to get the person who says, you know what, I'm just not interested. I don't want anybody coming out to my house. I'm not wanting to deal with it. I'm not having a good day. Click. Let them click. Don't call them back. Don't be like, hey, listen, we got disconnected. Okay, you know you got hung up on. Just let them go. Okay, whatever's going on in their life is not a reflection of you. You're doing a great job. Has nothing to do with you. So you can always door knock them, but I'd wait a couple days and then maybe go door knock them. Okay? And so those are going to be a lot of it's going to be kind of a lot of the same responses that you're going to get. Now, here's what's interesting. When you go to door knock, you're going to get a lot of the same responses. You just get to do it in person. Here's what I found too. I found that when you're in front of somebody, it's a lot harder for them to hang up on you or shut the door on you, right? Than it is when you're talking on the phone and somebody walks in the room, or they're on their cell phone and they're walking, or they're getting in their car, the kids are yelling, whatever that might look like, and then they just go, you know, I just can't do this right now. Boop, and they get rid of you. It's harder to do that on a door knock, right? Okay, so that is the door knock script. Excuse me, the phone script. Let's go into a door knock, and then we will wrap. So here's what I like to do. I take my B leads, and I keep my fresh leads behind. Watch, you'll see why. Because you've got to jog their memory. When you walk up to the door, obviously, dress for success, posture, be in control, keep an eye around for your surroundings. Why? Because, hey, people might have a dog. You just never know. What you're walking up to a stranger's house, and at the end of the day, in my experience over the past 6 years, and I've done thousands, not hundreds, thousands of door knocks, I've never once had an issue because I was in complete control of my surroundings and what was going on. Okay? Here's what I'll share with you. If you walk up to the door and you smile and you're presentable, people will talk to you. Don't be a Kirby vacuum salesman. Be an adult who's having a conversation about something that they inquired you about. Meaning at some point in time, they took the time to fill it out, walk down their driveway, and drop it in the mailbox. Now, as a B lead, it wasn't ours. They did it for somebody else, but they solicited somebody. So this is not a solicitation. We're responding back to information that they requested. And the same goes for a fresh lead. Okay, here it goes. So, knock, knock, knock. Take a couple steps back. You don't want to be all up on somebody's window in their porch. Just take a couple steps back. Be chill. Have the information here with you. They open the door. I like to smile. Hi, how are you, Deborah? Right? If it's Deborah's husband and it's Bob. Hi, how are you, Bob? A lot of times it doesn't say the spouse's name on a B lead. It'll say it on a fresh lead. So you just, same thing. Hi, how are you? Is Deborah Miller here, please? Who are you? My name is Brett Grossman, and I'm actually here. I'm following up with some information about her mortgage with Bank of America. It's for a loan she did back in September of 2016 for $115,450. She had inquired some information. I just wanted to follow up. Is she home today? And so that right there qualifies you for somebody who is, again, not selling something at the door, not soliciting, and as a professional. If you do it and you deliver it correctly, they will always go, yeah, hold on 1 second, I'll be right back. And they will go, Deborah, or they'll just go get her and she'll come back and, what is this? What's going on? Do the same thing over again. Repeat it to her, okay? Don't think that because she was standing behind the door that she heard it. You never know. Just go back through it again, okay? And so after you've gone back through it, and so Deborah, what brought me here today was I actually had about 2 hours before my next appointment, and I was following up on this old list. Now, I want to kind of jog your memory here. Do you remember back in September when you did the closing? You received something like this in the mail, and it had your, now remember, this isn't Deborah's, this is William in Lansdale, but you're refreshing her memory. Remember you got something in the mail, looked like this, and it talked about mortgage protection, you filled it out at the bank, remember getting that? She's like, oh yeah, no, I do, great. That's what brings me here this afternoon. I showed that the record was never closed, and so I wanted to take a few minutes and see if this is a program that you may be eligible for. May I come in? And at this point, here's the response. No, now's not a good time. I wasn't expecting you. The gentleman who answered the doors is my brother, and I'd like for my husband to be here. Never do a one-legger. So even if they invite you in, find out right away. Is your husband here? Is your wife here? No, they're at work. Okay, well, here's what I'd prefer to do is I'd prefer to schedule a time for me to come back later this evening when your spouse returns from work, or first thing tomorrow morning before you guys leave for work, or let's work something out, but try to get it right away. 24 to 48 hour rule. And so don't do the one-legger. Make sure you have both parties there, okay? But they invite you in, and your goal off of a door knock is to have a sit, have a conversation, and close business. Obviously, your goal over the telephone is to schedule appointments, but your goal off a door knock isn't necessarily to schedule an appointment, it's to sit down at an appointment. Worst case scenario, schedule an appointment 24 to 48 hours out, okay? And so let's say that's the first response. No, my husband here, no, my wife's not here, no, now's not a good time. That's the first response you're going to get. Okay, fair enough. If they give you the response of, you know what, we already took care of this back in September. Same response. I found here in Bucks County that the majority of people got the life insurance, not the mortgage protection. Which one did you get? 2 weeks ago, I had an appointment at 7 p.m. and I did some door knocks. I went out there early, was doing some door knocks, got a sit, took a nap, was doing some door knocks, went to my appointment, had a sit, took a nap, had a couple more hours in between my next appointment, and I was like out in the middle of nowhere. And I almost turned around and I was like, you know what, let me just go out and just go drive a little further out before I head it. And this guy built a brand new home, young guy, 28 years old, small little boy at home, wife stays at home, he's a school teacher, answers the door. I had this identical conversation with him he goes, yeah, guy was just here 2 weeks ago, gave me the life insurance. Oh, did you get that? And he goes, oh, I'm not sure. It's really hot out here. Why don't you come on in? Great, I will. And then in I go, okay? Now, personally, I like to leave my truck running. I'm not saying you have to. It's something I do. Why? Because it allows me to have an out for a second. I'll give you an example of what I mean. I'll use him, for example. I'm at his front door. My truck is in his driveway. And I drive a big truck. And my truck is in his driveway. And I like to pull into people's driveways. I like to just be a little bit more personal about it, okay? Again, not the Kirby guy. Not the guy with a clipboard, right? And so I'll say, they invite me in, and I say, you know what, just give me 1 second here, please. I need to go shut my truck off. I like to grab my phone and some materials, and I'll be right back. And then I just go right to my truck, shut my car, grab my phone, grab my briefcase, bam, and it's go time, okay? And so what I found with this gentleman is he went through a company called American Amicable. Here's what I'll tell you. American Amicable and a company called Americo don't do a great job offering living benefits. They do a good job offering straight life insurance. Well, our clients, they want mortgage protection. They don't need life insurance. Why? Because a good portion of them already have life insurance at work, or they already have a private policy that they got a few years ago, whether that's whole life or term. And that's something that you're going to inspect while you're in the home. And I'm going to go over that here in a second. But that's kind of like my routine. Doesn't mean that you have to keep your car running. It's just something that I've always done. It's something that I like to do. It just kind of gives me a second to get my mind right for what I need to do, okay? But the moment that they say, come on in, just remember, they're asking you to come in for a reason. Not because they're being nice. It's because they're interested. They need to know more, okay? It's a good thing. And so when you're in the home, one of the things that you want to inspect, and I'm going to give you the list right now, so if you're taking notes, and if you haven't been taking notes, good news, you can rewind, go back, and write down anything that you heard that you liked. So, couple things. Number one, you want to find out, so Deborah, are you in a 20 or a 30 year? I'm in a 30 year. Now remember, this is off a door knock. Just going to give you the list, the bullet points. 30 year. Okay, now with taxes and insurance included, what is your monthly payment every month? $1,200 a month. Got that? Okay, now what do you do for work full time? Oh, I work in a warehouse as a warehouse operations manager. Oh, fantastic. How long have you been doing that? A little small. Okay, now do they give you any benefits at work, like a disability benefit or a life insurance benefit? Write it down. Do you have any private life insurance outside of work? Write that down. And what you're doing is you're writing down. Remember all my notes I have? You're writing that down. And if it's a fresh lead, you're writing it down. Right on the fresh lead, you're writing it all over it, okay? And so, do you have any private life insurance outside of work? I do. Here's what I have. Okay, great. How long have you had that? Always ask them, would you mind? I can kind of, I can do a policy review, and a lot of times I'll charge a fee at my office. I'm already sitting here. If you want to go ahead and grab your policies, I'd be more than happy to take 60 seconds and look through it and see what type of coverage you actually have. Here's why. Most people don't have a clue what type of insurance they have. They really don't. People wouldn't know if they're in a UL, a whole life, a term. They don't know what they got, okay? So go the extra mile with your clients. It'll solidify it in the home, 100%. And so then you want to kind of go through your presentation and so on and so forth. And again, that's for a different video, for a different training with the presentation. So that's kind of like the keys to going out and doing a door knock, scheduling over the telephone. There is no script for a door knock. Congratulations, this is it. Again, the scripts are in the back office for agents only. You actually have to be a contracted agent to log into our back office to get our scripts. And there will be more training videos coming in terms of how we do our 3-option close, how we do our presentations in the home, and a whole lot more. Guys, it's 4th of July weekend. I hope everybody have a nice and safe holiday.